All right, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College. And I have been creating or going through a series of videos that I've created that use a BMI program, a body mass index calculator program, and I've so far written it in JavaScript, jQuery, a C# console program, a C# GUI program, an ASP.NET program, and a Java program. And I'm in the middle right now of creating it one more time as an App Inventor 2 program, and then finally I'll finish up by creating it as a full-fledged Android app. Alright, so I'm in the middle here of the App Inventor 2, and I'm right here. So, I have my variables, I've done my button clear routine, which called clear all, and I've done my calculate BMI. But the next thing to do is I now have to check, and I have to make sure, first of all, if either one of these are empty, I want to put a message here saying that you've got non-numeric input. If either one of these are out of range, in other words, if this one is, you can see the range when I put my mouse over it, if this one is less than 12 or greater than 96, or this one is less than 1 or greater than 777, I want to put an out of range message in there. Otherwise, if they're both valid, I want to figure out, I want to call the calculate BMI method and then put the BMI in there and then change the picture accordingly. Hopefully all that made sense, and if it did not, then it will make a little bit more sense as we start going through it right here. All right, so I'm going to have an if statement in here, so I will need some sorry, it's a control statement. So I'll need an if, and I'll need an else if, and finally I'll need an else. Alright, so I'll need to do all this stuff. So if, first thing we're going to do is we're going to handle there being nothing in there. So if either the text for the height, and notice I can put that there, but that's not what I actually won't even fit in there. If that's equal to nothing, so I'm going to need another logic in here, and I'm going to need an or. Alright, and another math one in here that's going to be an equals here, and another math that's going to be an equals here. And I'm saying in English, if the height text box has in it nothing, or the weight text box has in it nothing. So if either one of those are empty, then I want to be able to go in and set the label that's right here to a message. And I'm just going to say non-numeric input. I'm keeping this very simple. Non-numeric input. All right. Next, I'm going to make this else if is going to be very long because I have to check to see if the height is less than 1 or the height is greater than 96 or the weight is less than, if the height is less than 12 or the height is greater than 96 or the weight is less than 1 or the weight is greater than 777. So I'll need another or in here. In fact, I will need a total of 3 of them. So I'm going to come in here and first put an or in this. Alright, and I'm going to need another or. And I'm going to need yet another or. And don't worry, they'll be filled in just a minute. So if the height text box Alright, so we're going to need a less than here. Alright, so if the height is less than $12, or if the height, I don't even want that. I'm going to grab this whole thing. Or if it's greater than 96, or the weight is less than 1, or the weight is greater than 777. So if any of those are the case, then I want to set the label to out of range input. All right. If it's neither one of those, all right, if it isn't either one of those, then I know it's valid. So I want to call my procedure to calculate the BMI. Okay. Now I should be able to at least do some testing on this. It's not complete yet, but if I come over to here and let's try putting in nothing here and nothing here and clicking calculate. And it says non-numeric input. That's good. Let's try putting in a value that's too big for this. And it says out of range input. That's good. Click calculate. It still says out of range input. That's good. Well, the only thing is right now, if I do put in valid values, 12, 222, and I click calculate, nothing happens because I haven't put that code in. I'm calling it, but I haven't set it yet. All right, so we're making progress here. All right. The other thing that I want to do is once I get done, I want to add, all right, I want to add, after I calculate the BMI, I want to set the status and also set the picture. So let's write another routine. I didn't do it like this when I did it the first time, but I'm going to write another routine here. And I'm going to call this set status and picture. Okay? All right. So we're going to, in here, we're going to have to end up calling set status and picture. All right. So inside of here, that's it for this routine. So let's write a comment here. In fact, let's put a comment here first. So when this button is clicked, call the validate height and weight method to begin the process. Okay, so that's done. This method checks for first no input for the height and or weight. Text boxes. Out of range input for the height and or weight text boxes. If neither one or two above are true, this routine calls the calculate the BMI routine to calculate the BMI. It then calls the set status and picture method to set the BMI status and the corresponding picture, or let's say image. All right, in fact, I like this better as set status and image than picture. Notice when I say image there and hit enter, it's going to also change it when we do it, the call. You'll see that in a minute. All right, I don't want to call clear all there. I want to set status and image. Okay, so I can now take this and collapse that down. Bring that up to here and bring that down to here. All right. So I know that I've created my BMI, and now I have to come in there and I have to check the BMI value. And if it's less than 18.5, I have to add onto my string in here after I calculate the BMI. I'm also going to want to print that out when I get done. So collapse block. But I'll want it to say, for example, 18.2 underweight and then change the picture. 22.5 optimal weight and change the picture. 40 overweight and change the picture. So that's what I have to do in here. So we will have an if, another if then else, or if else if else, and that's under control. If, else if, and else. All right, let's write our comment right away. This, that was very good. We call this, I don't know how I remove that, but set status and image. All right, so again, we want to come in here with our control and put an if and an else if and an else. All right, add a comment. This, holy moly, THIS, this method sets the BMI status string, which is underweight, overweight, or optimal weight, and the corresponding image. So we have to get that status. So if that result text, and we're going to need a math operation in here with equal, and if that's actually less than 18.5, all right, then I want to set my status, and that's not the result text we were checking here. That's what we're going to do later. This is the BMI. So if the BMI is less than that, then we want to set the result text. So not get it, but set it. And we want to set it equal to the status to we're going to do what's called a join here. And we're going to join together. Come on. What happened there? So we want to join together the word underweight with the space, and we want to join to that the actual BMI. All right, we also want to set the image, and there's probably better ways of doing this than the way I'm showing it to you right now, but this will work. All right, and we want to set that to what we called skinny.jpg. I believe that's what it was. All right. Otherwise, if it's greater than 25, all right, we want to set this to overweight. We put spelled underweight wrong. So we want to set this to overweight. And we want to set the image to our overweight JPEG. Let's double check and make sure. JPEG, 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 they're all JPEGs, good deal. And if they are not underweight and they're not overweight, they must be of optimal weight. So we want to set this to optimal weight. And we want to set the image to fit.jpg. All right, now I put in a ton of code. We will go back and look at that in just a moment. But let's try to run it first and see if indeed it works. So 77 and 222, calculate, click done. Did not change the picture. I don't know, this might just not have updated yet, so let's go back. And let's go up to here, connect, reset connection, connect, emulator. While that is resetting itself, I will stop this particular taping this particular video. We'll pick it up with a hopefully short one at the end where we'll just run it and quickly go over all the code. So I'll be back with that shortly because we're already over 20 minutes.